right, how you guys doing? Yeah? This is such a funny setup, you know, it always makes me wonder, like, what? Here we are with, like, the bar and the poets, and where are we? I feel like I'm under a great big spider with this mirror ball here. So, I thought I would read some love poems, post-Valentine love poems, and see where that takes us. I want to thank the International Poetry Library, which I think is doing a very cool thing, making a space to have that kind of thing in San Francisco, which is the perfect town for it. And thanks to Kim for reading with me, all the Kims. And there are some coasters on the tables that are there's some coasters on the tables that are for a book of mine, Jimmy and Rita, a couple of which are being auctioned off tonight, so feel free to take them home with you. Okay, so this is called, I thought I'd start with some sonnets. This is called Stolen Moments, and because I can't see up here, I have to use my little key light to see what I'm reading. Stolen Moments. What happened, happened once. So now it's best in memory. An orange he sliced, the skin unbroken, then the knife, the chill wedge lifted to my mouth, his mouth, the thin membrane between us, the exquisite orange, tongue, orange, my nakedness and his, the way he pushed me up against the fridge. Now I get to feel his hands again. The kiss that didn't last, but sent some neural twin flashing wildly through the cortex. Love's merciless, the way it travels in and keeps emitting light. Beside the stove, we ate an orange, and there were purple flowers on the table, and we still had ours. Okay, so this is called Ex-Boyfriends. They hang around hitting on your friends, or else you never hear from them again. They call when they're drunk, or finally get sober. They're passing through town and want dinner. They take you by the hand across the table, kiss you when you come back from the bathroom. They were your loves, your victims, your good dogs or bad boys, and they're over you now. One writes a book in which a woman who sounds suspiciously like you is the first to be sadistically dismembered by a serial killer. They're getting married and want you to be the first to know. Or they've been fired and need a loan. Their new girlfriend hates you. They say they don't miss you, but show up in your dreams, calling to you from the shoeboxes where they're buried in rows in your basement. Some nights you find one floating into bed with you, propped on an elbow, giving you a look of fascination, a look that says, I can't believe I found you. It's the same way your current boyfriend gazed at you last night, before he pulled the plug on the tiny white lights above the bed and moved against you in the dark, broken occasionally by the faint, restless arcs of headlights from the freeway's passing trucks, the big rigs that travel and travel, hauling their loads between cities, warehouses, following the familiar routes of their loneliness. This is called For You. For you, I undress down to the sheaths of my nerves. I remove my jewelry and set it on the nightstand. I unhook my ribs, spread my lungs flat on a chair. I dissolve like a remedy in water, in wine. I spill without staining and leave without stirring the air. I do it for love. For love, I disappear. You were the bride of gin, bride of men you followed home and let fuck you, only to discover that they already had a woman who would never know what you had done with her man, never know what a shit she was married to. You were enamored of impulse, tearing flower heads from sidewalk squares that had converted from concrete to soil. How pure your longing to be anything other than yourself. How difficult to extricate the stem, only to hold the scattering, brooding petals, and how you longed for that stem. Little former whore, self you have almost outgrown. Think of Clydia pining for Apollo, her whole face turned toward the idea of heaven. Think of the faces turned towards you now as you recite from the myth you have made, all of them listening to you, of all flowers, you. This is called Crossing. I stash my heart in my boot. I've got a broken knife for you. You're not dying for love. You're not even injured. Not a scratch, not a nick, no throb in the bones, no slight headache starting behind the eyes. I'm walking on a dead ocean, all the fish in my body in free fall. I adore you sinkingly. You're what? You're whom? In every room. A dog starts racketing. It's you. Siren ratcheting off the blue. I tie myself to the table. I bolt myself to the bed. When the phone's black call comes, I light another silence in my head. I want to do this poem because it's called February 14th. It's a different kind of love poem. I wrote it for my brother John, who got a liver transplant on that date. This is a Valentine for the surgeons, ligating the portal veins and hepatic artery, placing vascular clamps on the vena cava as my brother receives a new liver. And a Valentine for each nurse, though I don't know how many there are, leaning over him in their gauze masks. I'm sure I have enough, as many hearts as it takes, as much embarrassing sentiment as anyone needs. One heart for the sutures, one for the instruments I don't know the names of, and the monitors and lights, and the gloves slippery with his blood as the long hours pass, as a T-tube is placed to drain the bile. And one heart for the donor who did not meet my brother, who never met my brother, but who understood the body as gift and did not want to bury or burn that gift. For that man, I can't imagine how one heart could suffice, but I offer it. While my brother lies sedated, open from sternum to groin, I think of a dead man being remembered by others in their sorrow. And I offer him these words of praise and gratitude, O beloved, whom we did not know. So my brother actually died this past spring, but the liver transplant gave him 10 more years of life, so that was pretty amazing. And he actually left his second wife and second family at the very end and hooked up with, what was her name? I think her name was something like Mindy or Mitzi or Muffy. It was Muffy. He hooked up with Muffy, who was his high school girlfriend. They got back together at the end of his life, so he actually, found this happiness. And that's my sort of poem for my pitch for organ donation, which I'm going to do, although I don't know, my liver is definitely not going to be, donatable. I'm hoping maybe my heart or a kidney or something, but my liver, I've seen those things of drinkers' livers and they're black and swollen and I'm sure that's what mine looks like inside. They're not going to want that, but still. Maybe something. Okay, so this is a poem called Romance. Well, sort of. Let me find it. Page 1, 2, 3. Okay. Romance. Remember how you waited for your first French kiss? That exotic term for what turned out to be the shock of an oily eel entering your mouth? Remember a boy's arm flung over your shoulder, his sweaty hand inching down your blouse like a snail moving toward a cabbage leaf? Remember being finger-fucked in some house under construction? And the kid who spied on you masturbating in your bedroom? And how you grew up believing anyway that romance was going to tuck you under its tender white wing and carry you off to some place where you'd never notice all the flies getting married to the corpses of bloated deer and raccoons by the roadside, or the man outside the corner store engaged to every dusty bottle on the shelf, or the penned cows yearning for the hammer to the skull, for something certain. Still, here you are, in middle age, stunned to find yourself in a sushi bar in California with a man kneeling before you while the little wooden sampans drift past with their cargoes of dead tuna and seaweed. And he's not asking you for anything but to stay exactly where you are, to please not disappear while he goes to feed the parking meter. And the man behind the counter is nodding and smiling, raising his cleaver aloft and taking aim and letting it fall, sharp and precise, on the glistening bodies of fish. Okay, so I want to read one called Please. Please. Where did it go? Where are you? Please. Now I can't fucking find it. I hate people who do this. But it's really disappeared. It's like it was in my book, and I swear to God, it's not there anymore. So, sorry? Exploratory. I know we need a little music here to happen, but fuck, I can't find it. This is so. All right. Instead, I'll do this one called Weaponry. Oh, I just realized it's not in this book because it's in my next book. Okay. This is called Weaponry. I used an arrow to kill the spider. I used a steamroller to flatten the worm. For the ants, I called it an airstrike. Bee that found its way in through the screen, blowtorch. The mammals were easier. A bucket of water for submerging the cat, a poisoned word thrown to the dog. For love, only a kitchen match, that and a stove leaking gas, and waiting until the dinner was good and burned. I know, happy poems, right? All right, I know, the poets, we're so fucking depressing, aren't we? We're such a fucking drag. All we want to talk about is death, and failed love. That's the way it is, man. Poets have the blues. I'm sorry. Fuck you all. Buy me a drink. So, all right, I'm going to try this one. This is like one I never do, but people like it, so if I can remember it, I'm going to try to do it. It's an answer to Freud's question, what do women want? I want a red dress. I want it flimsy and cheap. I want it too tight. I want to wear it until someone tears it off me. I want it sleeveless and backless, this dress, so no one has to guess what's underneath. I want to walk down the hall past Thrifty's and the hardware store with all those keys glittering in the window, past Mr. and Mrs. Wong selling day-old donuts in their cafe, past the Guerra brothers slinging pigs from the truck and onto the dolly, hoisting the slick snouts over their shoulders. I want to walk like I'm the only woman on earth and I can have my pick. I want that red dress bad. I want it to confirm your worst fears about me, to show you how little I care about you or anything except what I want. When I find it, I'll pull that garment from its hanger like I'm choosing a body to carry me into this world, through the birth cries and the love cries too, and I'll wear it like bones, like skin. It'll be the goddamn dress they bury me in. See, people like that one. Okay, so now we're going to break out the big ammunition. This is sort of moving us into the musical portion of our program because I've been trying to find some ways to combine word with music for a while, and I'm going to have a couple of my poet friends come up and help me out pretty soon, but I thought I would do a couple harmonica pieces for you first. This is a blues for the great Robert Johnson, who I'm sure all the cool people know who he was. So I'm not even going to say anything about it. But the one thing I will say is that he died at about the age of 27 when he was down at a juke joint in Three Forks, Mississippi, with a couple of friends of his, and had a bottle of whiskey, and it had been opened. And he drank from it. It turned out there was strychnine in the whiskey, and he died in the hospital a bit later. So this is my blues for Robert Johnson. Give me a pint of whiskey with a broken seal. Give me one more hour with a broken feel. I can't sleep again, and a black dog's on my trail. You're singing Hellhound, Crossroads. Love in vain. You're singing and the black sky is playing rain. You're stomping your feet. You're shaking the window pane. I put my palm to the glass to get the cold. I drink the memories that scald. Drink to the loves that failed and failed. Down into the river, I can see you there, looking down into the blue light of a woman's hair, saying to her, baby, dark won't catch me here. You're buried in Mississippi under a stone. You're buried and still singing under the ground, and the blues fell mama's child. Tore me all upside, tore me all upside, tore me all upside down. Thanks. Could I get just a little more on this mic for the harp? Doug, I also meant to thank Doug for being so patient with us because the band has never done anything but acoustic music, so tonight we had to figure out microphones. It turned out to be very complicated, and we were total idiots about how to do it, so just want to thank him for his patience. But I thought I would, really get into the music portion of the show by playing you a train song. And this is based on a guy named D. Ford Bailey, who was the first African-American star of the Grand Ole Opry. and who got basically shafted by the music business. He was really popular there. It was just him and his harmonica and sometimes his banjo. And then kind of when the music business came in, he would do these old-timey songs that everybody loved, but suddenly he wasn't allowed to do them. And he ended up shining shoes on a corner. And years later, thanks to a lot of white musicians who got into the blues, he got rediscovered and finally got into the Country Music Hall of Fame, which was very cool. So this is my kind of mashup medley of a couple train songs by D. Ford Bailey. All aboard. Thank you. That's it's a version of a couple train songs. So I want to invite up to the stage a couple of friends of mine. By the way, if you're seeing those free Jimmy and Rita coasters hanging around, these were the models. So Peter Klein and Brittany Parham, and we call ourselves the Nonstop Beautiful Ladies. We're sort of a word music project, trying to bring a little music into the poetry and just have fun and play music. So if you guys want to come on up, we're going to do some songs for you now.